we're going to go ahead and get started. We're again so happy to see so many people from all over the U.S. joining us today. My name is Ashley Singleton, and I am a program manager with the National Training and Technical Assistance Center for Child, Youth, and Family Mental Health. That's a really big mouthful. You can call us INTACT for short. I consider myself your residential smiling face. So welcome to our community. We're super glad to have you here. As a quick disclaimer, this session, it is offered by INTACT and it's funded by the Substance Abuse Mental and Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA. All of those views are that of our presenters and not the official views of the U.S. government. This session will be recorded and it's going to be posted on our website and all of our social media platforms. So if you're into reruns and want to hear all of these great things again, you can listen in again after this session. In case of any security issues, we will end this session and send a separate email with information on how to rejoin. But if you're near some wood, let's go ahead and knock on it, because we are hoping that will not happen and we will not need to do that, okay? All right, again, I'm Ashley Singleton, project manager at the Center for Applied Research Solutions. And my colleague, partner, friend, all the things, I was trying to think, what do I call Jasmine? Because she's so many things to me. Jasmine Boatwright, she's a youth program coordinator at Youth Move National and a part and a member of the INTACT team. We're going to be your moderators for the day. I'm super excited to jump into our presentation, but before we do, I want to tell you a little bit about INTACT, who we are, what we represent. We provide free trainings just like this one, and I don't know if you knew this, but we also provide technical assistance to all of you lovely people on the call today. So if you have any technical assistance needs in your community, I encourage you to reach out to INTACT. We have a website and a form where you can submit TA requests. Our trainings and our technical assistance requests are supported by our partners. We have a multidisciplinary team. And on the previous slide, there were some of our partners listed. But if you would like to reach out to us, you can, and we'd be happy to help and support you in your community. Our goal and our mission is to serve all children, youth, and young adults and families with emotional and behavioral health needs, and making sure that those folks can access evidence-based treatment and recovery services and a well-coordinated system of care. And you can find out more about us and sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss any of our updates at the website on the slide right there. One of our other goals and what's really important to us is meeting the needs of the community. And we want to hear from you. You all are our community, right? We are building this community together. So what I would love to hear from you all in the chat is respond, and I invite you to respond to either of the prompts on the slide. If you could respond in the chat, please let us know. Why did you sign up for this webinar? What you like to learn? What would you like to take away? We're going to take just a minute to do that. And I'm keeping an eye on the chat to see what you say. Okay, lived experience and wanting to learn more information. Expand my knowledge, gain tools. Thank you, Anne. Emily says, I love learning, especially from those who are like a fountain of knowledge. We got a fountain for you today. I'm excited, Emily. Let's see, what else? Oh, these are coming in fast. I love it. I signed up for this webinar because I want to continue learning more about the pipeline. Okay, I love it. And just some really great things. I want to be a change agent. I love that. I love that. Change agents are so important, advocates in our community. Well, hopefully, we're going to please keep these coming in. We're going to continue to look at these as we have our panel discussion in just a few minutes. So with that, I also wanted to talk a little bit about some terms and words that you'll hear us use throughout today. One of those is mental health disparities. I know this phrase, I use it pretty regularly. I hear about it on the news all the time. But I wonder how often even myself really sits down with this definition and just kind of take in its full meaning, right? Mental health disparities are the differences in outcomes and access to services experienced by groups of people that's solely based on their social, ethnic, and economic status. So in other words, who you are, whether that's your race, gender, ability, sexual orientation, and where you live makes an impact on your health. And these disparities are inequitable, clearly, and they are directly related to the history of unfair and unequal distribution of resources in this country. So we wanted to make sure we're all on the same page about that, and that we're all on the same page about what the foster care to prison pipeline is. In 2019, approximately 424,000 children were in foster care in the United States. Many of you know those statistics. I know that you work in this area. You also know that these cases and numbers of youth in foster care have been increasing over time. These children are often children of color. They're often facing chronic poverty, and they have mental health needs. And what's really unfortunate and sad is that many of these youth are funneled into or from like a child welfare system into a criminal quote unquote justice system, especially when they don't have access to community supports and they've never had their mental health needs met in the first place, right? And so that's what we call and define that foster care to prison pipeline. So I've done a lot of talking now, and I would love for us to hear from our panelists today and our subject matter experts. I want to pass the mic over to Yusef. I know Yusef has some words that he wants to share, and then after that, we'll hear from Marquen or MT.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Yusef Preseley. Just to kind of get juices flowing, I just kind of want to show my video that I have that I would like to show everyone.
The reason why I'm the right person for this project is because of my experiences. From the age of 5 to 18, I've been held captive by the juvenile system in Kansas. I've been to over 100 foster homes all around the state. I went right from foster care to juvenile prison. I was counted out from the beginning, not even supposed to be here today. I've seen things that no young person should ever have to see. I've experienced physical abuse, neglect, and trauma right here in this very system that is said to help and keep us safe. My work with Progeny is to close the last youth prison in Kansas, and it has taught me not only to advocate for myself, but to do something about the injustices I've experienced and seen in the foster care system. That's why this is the Yusef Preseley story. It is not the only one of its kind. There are several more just like it. This is why I'm the right person to carry out the YP project. I know firsthand what it takes to break free from the system's chains. I want to release as many young people from the mental bondage the system holds on youth. I've been recognized several times for my connections to my community and my work within the juvenile system to change policy. I sit on a national board that is constantly connected to my work right here in Wichita, Kansas. I feel like it's my duty to give back to my community and the unheard voices of the young people. There are so many youth just like me that have been overlooked and taken advantage of by this system. They have not been given a fair chance or even an opportunity. It's time for them to be heard and valued. This is why the YP project is so important and much needed. The people that the YP project serves are the people that have been unheard for far too long. We serve young people impacted by the foster care system and juvenile system. These are called the Kansas throwaways. We need to bring the spotlight on the mishandling of the most vulnerable youth population, which is the foster care children. The YP project gives young people a voice and encourages that this is the time to shine the light on the injustices of the system they're in. It encourages youth in the foster care to prison pipeline that there's a way out of the system that they fear the most. The YP Project empowers young people to speak power to the experiences they have endured and use them to create change. With the guidance from Progeny I receive, I have the tools and the credentials to serve this role. It is no longer about me. It's about the work that we can do collectively today in preparation for a better future tomorrow. I am passionate about the YP Project because this is my life. It means everything to me. To know that there are young people in this system, to know that they're strong and valued regardless of their situation. Now is the time to elevate young voices. Now is the time to make an impact on the system that once tried to hold us down. This is the YP Project. YP stands for me, Yusef Preseley, young people, youth prison, youth population. We can all do it.
So there you guys go. There's a little bit about me. You guys will find out more about me as we go on to this panel. But for now, I would like to bring on Marquen, MT.
A little background about me and how I got involved in this work. Basically the impact that foster care had on me and my brother changed our lives forever. We were originally in Texas for our first placement at ages 5 and 3, going from placement after placement. And like any foster kid, not knowing where you lay your head at night, it's scary, it's worrisome. You never know what situation might arise daily. Me and my brother got separated. He was 14 and I was 16. We were 2 hours away from each other. As soon as I got a car, I would go see him at least twice a month. But the mental struggle was it was very real. And like you feel like you have no one to talk to, you feel all alone, you wake up sad. Your whole day is in just disarray. By the time you go to sleep, you're very depressed. Many thoughts of suicide, many attempts of suicide. And then on September 24th, 2021, my brother was 17. He had a mental breakdown, and the foster father called WPD. That's in Wichita, Kansas, Wichita Police Department. And they promised to take my brother to get a mental evaluation, let him have a good night's sleep. But instead, they changed their judgment. They put him in a wrap, which is worse than a straight jacket. It locks your legs as well. And they took him to the JIAC, a detention center for kids. And 5 workers in there murdered him by pinning him down in the prone position where he could not breathe for 43 minutes. He died one day just before his 18th birthday. And kids with trauma are more likely to have mental issues, more likely to be suspended. I didn't really dig deep, but I did read a few studies where kids who have been suspended from school more than once are more likely to end up in a detention center or more likely to end up in prison. And thanks to the government not finding ways to help us learn how to manage our stress, they rather lock us up instead of helping us come with programs in school and for young people to handle our emotions. And especially being in foster care, you usually don't have like the right parent or the right people you need. So it's a little more harder. And if you have had to live with this experience, anyone that's on here, it's not your fault. It's just it's our job though, those who have the lived experience, to dismantle the system of the youth imprisonment. So I got 3 steps of what I feel will help people with their mental state. One, what we're doing here right now is a great start. We're sharing knowledge. The reason the government gets away with a lot of stuff is because people don't have the knowledge that they need. Having a good friend, number 2, having a good friend you can talk to a lot of times will be a help. It's sometimes hard to find that friend, but there are people out there, there are resources, there are people to talk to, and it's a starting point, which is most important. Most people don't want to start. And number 3, protesting and advocacy works. You may not see results right away, but enough people and enough, if we annoy the government enough, like Constitution says, we the people can achieve more than we know if we work together under one sound, one mind, one purpose, and that's me. Turn this over to whoever.
Yeah, MT, thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you, Yusef, for sharing your story as well and talking about your mission and your work. What we'd like to do now is to hear from the audience. What questions do you have for MT and Yusef? Now that you've learned more about them, you learn more about their mission, their work, and their stories.
The first question that we have is, what should effective mental health and mental wellness services consist of for youth who are involved in the foster care system?
Okay, I would just like to start by saying that not one size fits all. One shoe won't fit everyone's. So what worked for me won't work for everyone else. But me personally, I would say just individualized care. Having someone working with me one-on-one around the clock was very, very crucial for me in helping me develop into who I am today. Being involved in sports and just having that environment, a loving environment around me was crucial.
Yeah,
Thank you.
to add on to what Yusuf's saying, I feel like it's really where your time and energy gets channeled towards like a good distraction most of the time. A good distraction, books, reading, sports, hobbies, painting, things like that.
Thank you. So I'm hearing having things available for young people to get into, to be distracted, to have their mind going. Okay, thank you. The next question is, we know the undertaking of something like this is very large and takes time and sometimes is overwhelming. But as individuals, we have the power to make collective change. What are some examples of actions that we can take as individuals, maybe in the next 30 days, that could help with change?
I would say mentorship. There's kids out there that need us. They need us. They're there. You just have to get involved and find them and work with them, because like once you get involved with them, it goes a long way. Like I said, having that one-on-one time that I was getting is just it goes over the top, and it really helps you. So I would just say mentorship, start with that, and then that's how you develop a foundation. So you get that mentorship and you keep going, and you just become invested, and it pays off. Trust me.
I agree with the answer all the way fully. I really feel the mentorship is a big one, and I feel choosing your mentorship is a big one, because if it's someone you've personally chosen, you're more likely to accept when they have something to say that's a little bit more harder to hear, like something as if like what your parents should be telling you. If you have a mentor, you're more likely to accept that from them.
Thank you. In what ways are organizations making the foster care to prison pipeline worse? And what things should they be more mindful of to improve?
I can answer that to start off. I personally would say like the environment. I feel like these institutions should be more mindful of, you know, how triggering it is when every room you go in is locked, all the cabinets are locked. That's triggering, and that's kind of disruptive to your mindset. So when you have these foster homes and they're locking doors, they're locking a lot of things, it it gives the feeling of lockdown, and that conditions, like someone had said in the chat, it conditions us, and it really does. It's almost like it's preparing you for prison. So I would just say, just being mindful of certain things, saying triggers, saying words, locked doors, things like that.
And to add on to that, I feel like even just with school, it starts a lot differently. Like usually if you're known as the trouble kid, oh, they just want to put you alone instead of talking to you, trying to figure out why. Like when fidget spinners came out, that was a good thing. Keep a lot of kids aren't even really bad kids. They're just easily distracted, and then they're portrayed as bad kids, and then they're more likely to be suspended, get in trouble, more likely to go to detention. Then that leads up to them going to youth prison. So I look at it as kind of hard for me to put it into words, but more like some kids probably need to be spoken to more younger and try to figure out what's the actual issue, not just be labeled. That's how I could put it. Don't label them right away.
Thank you for that, MT. That actually leads us right into our next question. Well, we know that there is power in community, and in many ways, many individuals and families, the community is where people heal. How can communities be strengthened to better care for our own members?
What saved me coming up in my life was I developed a village. I got a village, and it really took a village with me. And I would just say, find your village, love your village, and be with your village. Because I say it every time someone asks me, if certain people didn't come into my life at the time that they did come into, I would have, it would have went beyond juvenile prison. I wouldn't have just been in juvenile prison. I would have been in adult prison. And, I'm thankful for the people who came in my corner and really took that time and mentored me and helped me and developed me and actually showed me love and affection and showing that they weren't just there for a paycheck. They're really just they're there to help me and assist me and help me grow. So I really just would say village, get your village, try to find your village, seek your village. So,
For me personally, I started working. I started working very young, and work was the distraction. And me working, if you're working, you meet in people that are work-minded as well. And being around work-minded people kept my mind better, and it kept me going on the right path. Because easily, if I wasn't at work, I could have easily been with friends doing something crazy, not really serious, but that could have ended up to just leading on to a worse life and being labeled as something really bad.
Definitely. So I'm hearing making sure that you identify and utilize kind of those natural supports, the people who can really help you stay grounded in life, and also making sure that you're around folks that are like-minded and focused and doing things similar to where you're trying to be. All right, let's move into our next question. What buffers can be implemented to prevent young people who are in foster care from becoming involved in the juvenile detention and prison systems?
For buffers, wherever you're at, wherever you're located at in foster care, city, wherever you're at, really programs like Boys and Girls Club, what else can lead? Other things, being in after school programs, anything that can utilize your time. Because when you're young, a lot of times, what do you mostly hear from kids, teenagers? I'm bored, I'm bored, I'm bored. And that's usually why things happen, is because I'm bored. So I feel like having their time utilized.
I completely agree with Marquen. You actually touched on it in the last segment. You said that going to work, getting a job, kind of kept you grounded and kept you not in those chains and bondages that the system can create. So I would just say one thing was for me was sports, falling in love with sports and loving sports. I would also say, if you don't like sports, working, arts and crafts, just being involved and having kind of that structure around you where you can stay away from it, not be bored and go find violence or find bad things to get into is crucial.
Thank you. So what are some things that the systems can do to actually disrupt or redirect the pipeline and actually garner more positive outcomes that support youth, young adults, and their families in thriving?
When you say systems, do you mean like the city, state, school, or
Yep, I mean, in the
foster
foster
care
care system, the mental health system, schools, you know, what can we do in our communities to really disrupt this pipeline?
Honestly, I feel like we have to have an open ear and listen. A lot of times I feel like young people they don't get listened to, like, just honestly, they not get listened to. And a lot of times nothing is taken serious until something serious does happen. And the whole time before it got serious, they've been throwing hints, been speaking, been talking, but haven't really been heard, haven't really listened to. And I feel like it falls on hearing and more of as for the older people, asking questions. And most of the time you get those answers from kids. Anytime you ask them, the standard answer is good, 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 but it's usually build a foundation of trust first, and then after you build that foundation of trust, you can really talk to them. And 9 times out of 10, most likely they're probably going to just want something utilized with their time, and something that's going to empower them. Like if we could just get programs where kids just be in circles and just talk about random stuff.
100%. I feel like it starts with the youth. We have to, like Marquen said, we have to listen to their voices. Let's listen. Let's not talk at them, because a lot of the problems is that we're having is the older generation comes and they say, oh, look at these young fools. They want to listen to rap and be like these rappers. Okay, well, put your hands in, get involved, help these kids and help them find something else besides, this rap that you say is causing this. They're just pointing these fingers and playing a blame game instead of actually getting involved. And like I said, mentorship. Go mentor youth if you feel like that youth can be redirected, instead of pointing that finger saying, oh, look at him, he want to be like that rapper and this rapper, look at him trying to be like all these people, and stuff like that. Because, like, for example, in my community a couple months ago, there were some young kids that had a big shooting at the mall, and one of them ended up passing away. That's when everybody came together in the community and wanted to talk and wanted to be involved and say, what can we do? How can we do our part? It shouldn't take that for everyone to come together and want to be effective and help youth. And since that event has happened, all those people have disappeared, so it's all just, they want to come when it's convenient for them to come. And I just feel like that's not going to work. That's not going to change anyone's life. It's not going to help anyone.
And to add on what Yusuf said about if they're like listening to rap music or watching something crazy, it would be a lot of times the reason why they do that is because that's how they're expressing themselves. And a lot of times in the rap music, it's an expression, and that's what they feel. So that's what they listen to. And even if it isn't your forte, just if you were to just sit there and listen to it with them and ask them why did they listen to, a lot of times with music they'll open up to you and tell you why. If you just, like, it may be crazy, it may be really crazy, but you'll be able to have a conversation and they'll be way more likely to open up with you, and then they can break down what the artist is saying, and that's really how they're feeling.
Thank you. So I'm definitely hearing listening, coaching, supporting, staying consistent are all key things that could definitely help redirect this pipeline. What would you say successful disruption and elimination of the foster care to prison pipeline would look like? What would it feel like? What would it sound like?
That's a tough question. I feel like it has to start with community. Let's create mental health programs for youth. Let's create alternatives, like getting them good jobs. A lot goes into it. So I would just start by saying community. Let's listen to the kids. Let's give them stuff to do, because obviously being bored helps, funnel, fundle trouble. So let's start there.
I'm not sure where everyone's from, but in Kansas, right now, a lot of people have been hearing about Lord Kelly trying to fund a youth prison here. And I feel like instead of funding the youth prison, using those funds to, like what Yusef was saying, start an organization, mental health programs, where I feel like we should have those funds going into motivational speakers, going to schools, reaching the target age where kids are most vulnerable to mental health, which is teenagers usually. And I feel like we shouldn't even wait till they're teenagers. We should be actually targeting them when they're younger. That way they're more guided through as they get into teenagers. And then by the time they are teenagers, they'll be more successful in what they're already trying to accomplish and be able to pass the baton on to the next youth. I feel like we'll have less prisons if we do that.
Nice. So what I'm hearing is definitely having more resources and opportunities for youth and families to actually thrive, right? And then also making sure that there's knowledge transferred, especially to young people at a young age. All right, cool. The last question I have for you all, and then I'll look at Ashley to see if we have any additional questions. But the last question I have for you all is, what is something that you wish the service providers and organizations working with you as a young person knew about you? What would you have liked for them to believe about your younger self? What resources, skills, or words or actions could have really transformed your life? Sorry, I know that was a long question.
So for me personally, I would say, like, I wish they knew that I was hurt. You know, I needed stability. I was going from home to home, and I didn't feel stable. And, you know, I was hurt, missing my mom, missing my family. I wish they knew that. I wish they didn't punish me for me being hurt, for my pain. And the best thing that ever happened to me was my aunt coming into my life later in my years and adopting me. That really helped me. And I wish it could have happened earlier instead of me being punished for me being hurt.
That was powerful. Thank you, Yusef. MT?
Something I wish they would have knew about me was, even though I was very introverted growing up, and so a lot of times I naturally push people away, and so people would, even though older people, they would push me away, but at the same time, they weren't trying to push me away. I was pushing them away, but I wish they would have still like, even if I'm pushing them away, just still would have kept pushing to talk to me more, to really hear me, to understand me, to just know, even though I may not want to talk or nothing, just your presence makes an impact. And what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, what would you have liked for them to believe about your younger self? What resources, skills, or words or actions could have transformed your life?
I feel like for words and action, just showing that they honestly believed and honestly cared and honestly supported me, just whether not just saying it, showing it. Make me actually believe it. Don't just tell me, show me. That's more how I feel.
Thank you. So I'm definitely hearing from both of you, making sure that individuals are not feeling punished for the things that they're going through, the pain, the trauma that they're already going through. Now they're receiving punishment on top of that. And then I also am hearing from you, MT, just making sure that, let me summarize this correctly. Young people are listened to and believe in what it is that you were trying to communicate at the time. Did I summarize that right? Thank you. All righty.
Yeah.
I will pass it back over to you, Ashley. This has been
There
an
are so
amazing
many,
conversation.
there's so many really great questions and comments in the chat. I think Yusuf, MT, y'all talked a lot about what people can do to support and be support, because that was one of the main questions we saw in the chat. What can I, as a teacher, as a therapist, as a social worker, what can I do to support youth who are in foster care? Is there anything else you want to share about how people as individuals can support youth in foster care?
Like I said before, mentorship, they need y'all. They need us, you know? So just getting that youth, you know, and just, you know, whether it's just taking them out to ice cream or, you know, helping them with some homework or whatever, just taking that little bit of time and interacting with that individual can go a long way, and you can really help that person. So
Yeah.
just, I would say, mentoring from out the gate.
That's really helpful, because that was one of the other questions. Like, people want to know, how did the mentors even show to you that they care? And so you kind of, you talked about like just spending time, ice cream, homework, just that quality time. Is that what made a big difference or can make a big difference?
I would say time for me, like I said in the beginning, one size does not fit all. So what
Yeah,
works may not
sure.
work for someone else. So, but I would say that time, that's what did it for me. Having those people there, just being an ear, you know, when I was having a bad day, just being that ear where I could vent to you and tell you, you know, what's bothering me. And then, you know, a lot of times, you know, I would be off the edge and they'd be like, you know, hey, let's try it this way. Let's do
Yeah.
it this way and see if this works. And that really, like, it reshaped the way I was thinking, you know, whenever I was going through those mental breakdowns, when I was,
Yeah.
you know, like Marquen mentioned suicide earlier, you know, when I'm in those moods and forget everybody, I'm gonna tear this up. And having that person there to say, hey, Yusuf, no, let's try it this way. Let's
Mhm.
go outside, let's go shoot some hoops and let's talk about, let's get to the bottom of this. That really helped me, and that really showed me who was there for me and who's gonna have my back. And right there, that's just, you know, like I said, from when I came into foster care, it was like I felt neglected. I didn't feel
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
So whenever people started coming in and they started being involved and and listening to me and really feeling like they're not just there for the paycheck, and they're there for me, 'cause
Mhm.
that's what helped me. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to shoot hoops, Yusuf. I don't know how to, I can play tennis, but I don't know how to play basketball. But it kind of is related to another question in the chat. Somebody asked about, like, you know, what do I do if I don't have lived experience? I don't personally have lived experience, but I want to help. I want to be a mentor. I'm working in this field. Does that make a difference? And like, how do you respond to that person who doesn't have lived experience but wants to help?
I mean, a lot of people don't in the field don't really have that lived experience. But like I said, just be there for them in the best way that you can. Like, you know, just be there, like whether it's just giving them an ear. You don't necessarily have to know how to shoot hoops, you know. Just try to relate with them. So whether it's sitting down, you know, talking about a movie, your favorite actor, or putting on your favorite song, you know, that can calm you down. Like, that can really, you can go from 10 to 2 just by, you know, talking with someone. Hey man, let's listen to some music. That can
Mhm.
be therapeutic. It's therapy. You know, you don't necessarily have to go through what we've been through to relate with us, you know. And another thing is, like, we want to feel normal, so we're really trying to relate to you. We want to feel,
Mhm.
so you don't necessarily have to, we're trying to, we don't, a lot of time when I was coming up, I didn't
Mhm.
want to know I was in foster care because I didn't feel normal. So I wasn't going around telling people, like, you know, oh, I'm in a foster home. You know, I didn't. So just throw that out the door and just try to relate with them.
I like that.
And to add on to that, those without lived experience who are mentors and do like that work of mentorship. I've actually had help growing up in a low point in my life in 8th grade by my principal who didn't even have lived experience, but just had an open ear, was understanding, and was just very, very good in just understanding. And Gary Chapman, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with Gary Chapman. He wrote the book of the 5 love languages, and he also has it's for relationships, but he has a second book with the 5 love languages for friendships. And so I feel like for mentors without lived experience need to read that book so they can understand whoever they're mentoring what their love language is, so you could be better direct with who you're helping. Whether it's some kids is acts of service, so maybe just doing certain things for them, you're opening up for them. For some, receiving gifts, it doesn't have to be big, something small, they're gonna love it if that's their love language. They just little small things like that. Quality time, if that's their love language, like what you said, go get some ice cream, McDonald's, something simple like that. Words of information of just telling people, giving them comfort, giving them a compliment, making them feel good, making them feel better. And then physical touch, I feel like more like if you're more closer to the individual or something like that, that's more better. But physical touch is also one where some kids they just need that physical touch love.
Mhm. There were questions in the chat about asking about y'all's story. I think y'all have shared your story, and I appreciate that. One thing people wanted to ask about is like, how do you advocate when you've gone through the experiences that you have personally and you've shared and been vulnerable with sharing? How do you continue to advocate with those kind of negative or not so great experiences that you have? Like, how do you continue to push forward? How do you keep going?
It's crazy that you say that, because like I'm really just now starting to really be able to speak about it. I was filming my documentary in December, just last month, and like it was some of the questions that I was being asked it was like, man, I started to shut down, like, because I'm reliving that trauma and all that pain that I went through, and it was getting triggering when they were interviewing me, and I'm just like, man, this is really tough. Like, really, when I really think about it, you know. But the reason why I do it is just to try to give back, try to help, just to show people that look like me who I know there is some me's out there. So I just want them to see it, reach out to me, and I know that you can turn it around. You can become more than what they say you're going to be. Because I remember being mentally abused by people in my foster home, telling me you're going to be nothing. You're gonna go to prison, this and this and that. You're gonna live under a rock and stuff like that. And I just want them to know to just block that out. You can be more. You can be what you want to be, and it don't, whatever you want to be, you can be it. Don't listen to what people tell you.
Yeah. I know there are people in the room, MT, who work with young people. We had somebody in the chat say they assist youth on parole, and they help them find employment. I know you talked about staying work-minded, but how do you help? What can people do to help motivate young people to move forward when they're not feeling it, right? When they're not feeling like being motivated, when they're in a bad space? What can a therapist, a teacher, a social worker, what can those folks do to help encourage that movement forward?
With me, honestly, like I couldn't even really advocate, if I'm being honest, all the way fully. I couldn't really use my voice. You're in so much pain, still trauma, suffering. But just the fact of people being there helps you show your face, because just the fact you show your face is going to make a statement. And if other people just be there, just there, don't even have to say anything, it's just a support. For me, that's how it's personally. Everyone's different, but just being there, you don't even have to say nothing. But the ones who do say something and are passionate on what they talk about, it's like, thank you, you're saying what I want to say but can't say because I'm emotionally torn to a point where if I speak, I'm going to mentally break down or something. And honestly, I've just like Yusef, I've honestly recently have just hit that point. I think with the new year starting, I have recently hit that point where I can use my voice, I can speak. It's still the pain, trauma is still all there, but I've learned how to channel it and guide it and relate to others. And what pushes me more than anything is before I die, I just want to make the world a better place. So at the end of the day, that's what really matters, because we're not going to be here forever. The new generation's coming up, and we should not just be repeating everything, every cycle, every time. We've come a long way, but we still got a long way to go.
I love that, MT. And anything else that you all would like to share that maybe you haven't had the chance to say? I think we got to most of the questions. Adrian, I love cycle breakers. That is awesome. That needs to be on a t-shirt somewhere. Anything else you all would like to say or share?
I think I seen something pop up in the chat asking about my documentary. Right now it should be done within the next month or so. Whenever it does come out, I would definitely like to ship that out and get that to people so that they can view it.
And congratulations, Yusef. That's awesome that you have that documentary coming out. That's amazing. That is amazing. Well, we've really appreciated this conversation. Somebody just put in there, your positivity is infectious. It is. We have some really great reads, views, and resources available. We're going to share the slide deck so you can always come back and check it out. Also, we wanted to, again, thank you to Yusef, MT, and Jasmine for this conversation. It's been so influential to me. I can't even, so many things are swirling in my head right now. What can we do? What can I do next? And I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. And on the next slide, I also want to share with you all that we have more of these solutions-focused sessions. That's what we like to call these. These are no longer webinars. We are beyond webinars. We left those behind 2 years ago. These are solutions-focused sessions that we offer here at NTAC. So we have a couple coming up over the next few days. We hope that you can join us. We're talking about innovative strategies for mental health and well-being. We're going to talk about an SOC, our system of care self-assessment tool that can be used in the community. We also have a webinar focused on whole person approach to youth and young adult employment services. And so what that looks like to hire and onboard youth and young adults to your team. If you'd like to, we'd love to see you in May. We have a virtual system of care summit. It is free. We have topics across the entire system of care. What am I trying to say? Across the entire system of care, topic areas that you can choose from. We're going to talk about it. That's May 9th through May the 11th. We'll have registration coming out soon. On the next slide, we have some information about how you can submit a proposal to the summit. If you're interested in presenting on a topic, sharing a resource, we'd love for you to submit a proposal. The deadline for that is January 24th. You can find more information on our website. We're also going to share with you all a post-survey link. We like to hear from you about what more you'd like to learn about. What would you like to hear us have topics on? What resources do you need in your community? So please take that post survey so we can meet your needs. That is a huge goal for us. And thank you so much for spending time with us. We know you could have been anywhere doing anything, but you've decided to share time with us here today. We are leaving a little bit early, but we do hope that in the time that you have back, that you're working on some action steps, taking some of those things that Yusef and MT recommended and putting some action behind it. And I want to say again, thank you for being here. And we hope that you have a good rest of your day.